Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at the evolutionary explanations for partner preferences, which you need to know for AQA A-level psychology in the subtopic of relationships. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Darwin proposed the theory of evolution, which is the process by which species adapt to their environment. Over time, random mutations in genes that are advantageous to the animal become more widespread. This can occur in two ways. Firstly, through natural selection, where genes that provide individuals with a reproductive advantage are more likely to be passed on to subsequent generations. Over time, these advantageous genes increase in frequency within the gene pool, shaping the traits and behaviors of a species. The mutation increases the animal's chances of survival, which increases the likelihood the animal will live long enough to reproduce and pass on its genes. Secondly, through sexual selection, where competition for mates between individuals of the same sex affects the evolution of certain traits. Any physical traits that enhance reproductive success will gradually be passed down. Animals that possess features that make them look attractive to members of the opposite sex will compete members of the same sex. The mutation increases the animal's attractiveness to potential mates, which also increases the likelihood the animal will reproduce and pass on its genes. There are two types of sexual selection: intra- and intersexual selection. Intrasexual selection refers to competition within one sex, typically males, for access to mates. This type of selection often results in male-male competition, where individuals with traits that improve their chances of winning these contests, e.g., strength, aggression, size, are more likely to reproduce. Over time, this leads to sexual dimorphism, physical and behavioral differences between males and females. Males often develop exaggerated secondary sexual characteristics, such as antlers in deer or large body size in gorillas, which signal their fitness to both rivals and potential mates. Intersexual selection occurs when one sex, usually females, chooses among potential mates based on certain preferred traits, such as physical appearance, displays of strength, or indicators of good health and genetic quality. This preference drives the evolution of traits that are deemed attractive or beneficial for offspring. New and Hammerstein, 1995, described this in terms of a biological marketplace, where males offer genetic or resource-based benefits, and females choose based on the value of those offerings. Genes associated with attractiveness thus become more saleable, increasing their representation in the population over time. To understand how evolution shapes partner preferences between genders, we need to understand the different evolutionary pressures between the two genders, and this is where anisogamy is a factor. Anisogamy refers to the differences between male sex cells, sperm, and female sex cells, ova, or eggs. These differences between male and female sex cells give rise to different reproductive behaviors. For women, finite number of eggs, approximately 25 years of fertility after puberty, fewer reproductive opportunities, 300 monthly ovulations over reproductive life. Each child is a significant investment of resources, e.g. the mother has to bear the child for 9 months during pregnancy, can produce at most one child every 9 months, and an optimal strategy of quality over quantity. For men, continuously produce sperm, continuously fertile after puberty even into old age, greater reproductive opportunities, 100,000,000 sperm per ejaculation, little investment of resources, i.e. sperm is reproductively cheap, it doesn't take a lot of time or energy to produce, can produce up to 3 children per day, and an optimal strategy of quantity over quality. Human anisogamy means that the optimal breeding strategy differs between men and women, from an evolutionary standpoint of passing on genes. In general, the optimal strategies are: men, get as many women pregnant as possible and leave them to raise the kids. Women, find a high-quality man who will produce high-quality kids and who will stick around to help raise them. These two strategies conflict with each other, which results in different reproductive behaviors between men and women. Male reproductive behavior. men can produce children with very little investment of time and resources, they just need to have sex. For a man, getting as many women pregnant as possible produces the most amount of his children, which increases the amount of his genes that survive. There are several strategies males may use to achieve this. Signs of fertility. Men value signs of youth and beauty in women as these indicate that the woman is fertile. The more fertile a woman is, the more likely she is to fall pregnant with his child. Fighting. Males compete with other males for women. For example, some species of deer use their antlers to fight with each other. Sneak copulation. Men may secretly cheat on their partners in order to maximize the number of children they have. Mate guarding. Men stay close to their partners to ensure they are not having sex with other males behind their back. This is to prevent getting cuckolded, where the man ends up raising a child that is not his own. Female reproductive behavior. Each child is a significant investment of time and resources for a woman, e.g., she has to carry the baby for 9 months in her womb. This results in a different optimal strategy for ensuring the survival of her genes compared to men. Rather than trying to have as many children as possible, women focus more on ensuring the children they do have are healthy and provided for. There are several strategies females may use to achieve this. Signs of resources. Women value signs of resources and wealth as these indicate that the man is able to provide for and raise the child. Sufficient resources, e.g., food and shelter, increase the likelihood that the child will survive and thrive. Courtship. Dating women use courtship to get to know a man and work out whether he would be a suitable partner and father. Courtship has the additional benefit of making the man invest time and effort into the woman, and maybe fall in love with her, which makes the man more likely to stick around after she falls pregnant. Sneak copulation. Women may also secretly cheat on their partners as this increases the genetic diversity of their children. The risk of this strategy is the woman getting found out and losing access to her partner's resources. The potential reward, however, is that she can have children with a genetically desirable stud while maintaining access to her partner's resources. A strength of sexual selection theory is that it has cross-cultural support. Buss, 1989, conducted a study across 37 cultures with over 10,000 participants and found consistent patterns in mate preferences. Males valued youth and physical attractiveness, while females prioritized resources and strength. These patterns align with evolutionary principles suggesting that humans seek mates who maximize their reproductive success. Consistency across cultures strengthens the universality of the theory, indicating that mate preferences may be biologically ingrained. This suggests that evolutionary mechanisms may play a fundamental role in shaping human behavior across diverse environments. A strength of sexual selection theory is that it is supported by real-world behavior. Clark and Hatfield, 1989, demonstrated that 75% of males agreed to casual sex with strangers, while no females did. This supports the idea of intersexual selection, where females are choosier to ensure reproductive success, while males adopt a strategy of spreading their genes widely. This real-life behavioral data supports the key concepts of sexual selection theory, reinforcing its validity. A strength of sexual selection theory is its ability to explain specific physical preferences. Singh, 1993, found that men preferred a waist-to-hip ratio of 0.7 across different cultures, as it is an indicator of fertility. This supports the theory that certain physical traits are unconsciously selected due to their association with reproductive fitness. These universal preferences reinforce the argument that mate selection is influenced by evolved biological mechanisms. A strength of sexual selection theory is that it has some explanatory power in modern human behavior. Dunbar et al. Found that in over 900 personal ads, women offered youth and attractiveness, while men offered resources and status, traits each gender typically values in a partner. This supports the theory's prediction that people advertise traits that align with evolved mate preferences. This lends real-world support to sexual selection theory and suggests that evolutionary principles may still shape behavior today. A limitation of sexual selection theory is that it relies heavily on self-report methods. Buss's study used questionnaires which may be misunderstood across cultures or suffer from translation issues. This reduces the internal validity of the findings, as the responses might not accurately reflect true mate preferences. If the methods are flawed, the conclusions drawn about universal mate preferences may be questionable. A limitation of sexual selection theory is that it overlooks sociocultural influences. Bernstein, 2015, argued that women's preferences for resources may be due to societal inequalities rather than evolutionary drives. Sharma et al., 1999, also found that women in economically unequal societies valued resources more highly. This suggests that environmental and cultural factors play a significant role in shaping mate preferences, potentially undermining purely biological explanations. Evolutionary theories may therefore lack a holistic view, failing to consider how context shapes behavior. A limitation of sexual selection theory is its reliance on unscientific, post hoc explanations. Popper criticized such theories for being unfalsifiable, meaning they cannot be tested or disproven. For example, explaining female infidelity through cuckoldry is speculative and difficult to investigate empirically. This undermines the scientific credibility of the theory, making it more of a narrative than a rigorous explanation. A limitation of sexual selection theory is that it displays gender bias. It assumes men are more likely to cheat due to genetic programming, without acknowledging that not all men cheat and that female infidelity exists too. This creates an alpha bias by exaggerating gender differences and failing to consider the role of individual agency and social context. Such bias reduces the theory's reliability and ethical acceptability. A limitation of sexual selection theory is its reductionist nature. The theory reduces complex mate preferences to genetic instincts, ignoring factors such as shared interests, values, or emotional connection. For example, Buller, 2005, found that women in university settings may prefer high-status men not for evolutionary reasons, but because of shared social and educational status. This oversimplification fails to reflect the complexity of human relationships. A limitation of sexual selection theory is that it is deterministic. It assumes that mate choices are genetically programmed, ignoring human free will. Even Buss's study showed both genders ranked kindness and intelligence highly, traits not strictly related to reproduction. This suggests that people actively choose partners based on personal and moral values, not just biological urges. Therefore, the theory lacks nuance in accounting for human agency. A limitation of sexual selection theory is that it cannot explain non-reproductive relationships. It does not account for homosexuality or why people choose not to have children. If all human behavior is driven by reproductive success, then such behaviors should not exist, yet they clearly do. This shows the theory is limited in scope and potentially contributes to harmful stereotypes or discrimination. A limitation of sexual selection theory is that it overlooks arranged marriages. Arranged marriages have existed for centuries, with little to no mate selection by the individuals involved. This contradicts the idea that people are actively choosing mates based on evolved preferences. Cultural practices like arranged marriage show that human behavior can be shaped by tradition rather than evolution. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.